I think one of the things is discipline. And I love talking about discipline. Number 2, character. Because some of the things that affect us are those two. For example, discipline in spending. I talk about money and I say any amount is enough so long as you have the discipline to spend it. So there are people probably who are walking out of certain situations and in next year they're saying, I want a better year. You need to have the discipline to not walk back to the things that made your year such a hard year. And you need to make conscious decisions. And I think as I began, I talked about loving yourself. You should love yourself enough not to walk back to situations that, you know, made your year hard. You should be bold enough not to make calls to people who probably made your ear such a bad year. For example, I have a friend somewhere who really messed up my ear in some way. So I need to be very disciplined not to go for that phone, no matter how lonely I feel.
This though does not mean you're making enemies, right?
I am not making enemies.
It's just avoiding what we call let-ins.
Exactly.
It's just avoiding what we call let-ins.
Exactly. So number 2, character. Sorry. Be sure that you're doing what is right so that you don't have to go to church every day telling the pastor to pray for you for things that you orchestrated yourself. For example, if you go out there drinking and then you drive and then you cause some accidents, then you go to church asking the pastor to pray for you. That is character. That is not even God involved. So I would say be bold enough to walk away from things that probably messed up your ear.
All right, and as we walk away from things, you know, there are things that actually might not have messed up your ear, but they're just there lingering around you, and actually friends, peer pressure for that matter. Let's just address peer pressure, especially for the youths. That, you know, sometimes it's pretty much hard to just run away from these friends of yours. They might not... Okay, it might not sound as though they're derailing you, and it might not be felt almost instantly, but later on you realize that, oh, okay, this is a mistake that I did. Why did I have to just hang around and cling around these people? So how are you able to overcome this, especially when we are addressing the youths? And I don't even think it's a youthful problem, by the way. Nowadays, even the oldies have a problem. Like you just want to be around those, you know, old guys that you play cards with, you drink together and all that. And by the time you realize the time has so gone, time that you'd have used to do something else.
Well, I heard him talk about a friend of his who messed up.
Yeah, even if he's going to be lonely, you know, like that other beats is what I heard. Okay, well.
Exactly. So we've had friends, we've had relatives who messed that year. 2019 maybe was difficult because they messed it up. So there's a can of let-ins that you have to close as you walk into the new year. So that is what we call let-ins. Maybe friends who've been dragging you, you can't move forward. And show me your friends, I'll tell you the kind of person that you are. If you'll sit down around friends who don't make you grow, people who drag you down, so the only decision is to let go. I mean, maybe that marriage has failed this year. Maybe there's that career move that didn't work this year. So you have to reprogram yourself. I came to learn that life is a learning curve. And we can say that every year you have to learn something. So if it failed, maybe there were those friends that dragged you down and it appeared to be very negative for you. You have to close these let-ins. We call them let-ins. So if hamsaidiani, you'll have to take another road. That is how it works simply. You have to make that stand.
There are times you convince yourself that, well, maybe it's just now that hatusaidiani, maybe things are going to change, maybe it's not what I think, and all that. How do you overcome such? Because those are the most things that get people derailed. And you know, they will derail you from making that bold move. They will get you thinking, how about I try it again? How about I get back? How about I put my money on this bank in as much as maybe last time it did not, you know, sort of give me proper interest and all that. So
it's all about fear. We talked about fear earlier. I mean, you have to face your fears. You have to fight off these, you know, the backdrops that make you think you can't make that decision because it's inside you. But once you start believing that you can do it, I believe it's very possible to close these let-ins. Well, let's sell hope 2020. It's good to sell hope because, you know, you can survive on hope. Hope is painful, but you can survive on hope. It's not working for you. But, I mean, there's somebody who's talking to you and letting you know that tomorrow will be a better day. I believe hope should be the message come next year.
That we are preaching.
Exactly.
All right, okay, that's good. So how do we then get from this society? I think that when I asked Alan, but I'd equally love to know that on a counseling bit of it, on a mentoring bit of it, because then so much so of our kids have gotten into crime. They have been, of course, derailed so much so with peer pressure. There's all about party after party, or left, right, and center. They are all into immorality. They are all into alcohol and all these negativities of life. How do we transform our society from a society that is full of negativity, that it's okay, you can take alcohol, but not to that level where, you know, it gets you disoriented and all that. I mean, how do we just create this shift, especially with these differences in generation, of course, in regards to parenting, and equally at that level, because then it's a whole different generation. It's a whole different affair, probably a different generation from what we have experienced ourselves. And it becomes very hard to get to, you know, strike the balance if we're not up to par to exactly, you know, in regards to exactly what is happening. Yeah.
When I talk to parents, this is what I tell them. Sometimes we are very fast to tell kids, don't do this. But I always tell them that if you don't give a young person something else to do, they will always go back to what you told them not to do. So we need to come up with other options to give these kids. If I tell you do not go to party after party, then what else am I giving you? So that you don't just remain in the house playing poker games and Need for Speed. All those were games of our times. But then what other option am I giving you? Because if I don't give you anything, then you still go back to where you began. I come from this divide where I am not of small alcohol and a lot of alcohol. I am born again.
So you're like, no alcohol at all. Wait a minute. Now that one we'll discuss. Proceed.
So I may not advise on little alcohol, whatever. But I believe in...
Take a little... that one I know. It is First Thessalonians of Timothy. It says a little for your stomach's sake. You know, a little wine for your stomach. Well, I'm not trying to tell you that, and I'm not trying to justify that it's good to take alcohol. I'm just trying to go back to the Bible in regards to that.
So, yeah, there's just this discussion that goes around. But you know, Timothy was sick. So are you sick?
What do you mean? He was sick? That's why he said that a little for the stomach's sake.
Exactly.
Nidawa.
Nidawa.
All right, man. If you say so, everyone is going to be sick like you right now.